Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Book 1. In this book, I record my deepest gratitude for all those who shaped my character through their example and teaching, for it is from them that I learned the virtues I now strive to embody every day. I reflect on the restraint and simplicity shown by my grandfather, the modesty and generosity of my father, the strength and endurance taught by my mother, and the lessons in self-control and humility drawn from my tutors and the philosophers who guided me. Each one imparted something essential: the value of living according to reason rather than impulse, the importance of kindness without expectation of reward, the discipline of hard work without complaint, and the calm acceptance of whatever fate may bring. I see now how these influences formed in me the habit of examining my own faults first, before judging others, of seeking truth over flattery, and of viewing every person as part of the same rational whole. Here I remind myself that no man becomes virtuous alone. We are all debtors to those who came before us, and true wisdom lies in acknowledging these debts with sincere thanks. By recalling their lessons, I fortify my own resolve to live with integrity, to govern my desires, and to meet every duty with quiet determination. This book is not a catalogue of names, but a mirror in which I see the foundations of my inner citadel, built stone by stone through the example of others. It teaches me that gratitude is itself a virtue, one that strengthens the soul against the storms of ambition and fear. When I read these reflections, I am reminded that the path of philosophy is not solitary, but woven from countless threads of human goodness, and that to walk it well, I must carry forward what was freely given to me. Thus I begin each day renewed in purpose, resolved to repay my debts not in words, but in deeds of justice, courage, and temperance. Book 2. Here I set down the principles that must guide me from the moment I wake until I rest again. For the day ahead will bring many who test my patience and my reason. I tell myself that I shall encounter the arrogant, the deceitful, the ungrateful, and the envious. Yet none of these can harm me unless I allow them to disturb the harmony of my own mind. My task is to remember that every human being shares in the same divine spark of reason, and that their faults arise from ignorance rather than malice. Therefore I must approach them not with anger, but with instruction if possible, or with patient tolerance if not. I reflect on the shortness of life and the fleeting nature of all things, urging myself to waste no moment in pointless complaint or idle desire. Instead, I focus on the work that lies before me, performing each action with care and purpose as though it were the last. The body may tire, the world may press upon me with its noise and confusion, but the ruling faculty within remains untouched if I keep it aligned with nature and truth. In these pages I counsel myself to rise above the petty concerns of reputation and pleasure, to see the universe as one great city in which I am but a citizen bound to serve the common good. When I feel the pull of resentment, I repeat that nothing external can truly injure the soul. Only my own judgment can do that. This book is my morning shield and evening anchor, a constant reminder that the art of living well consists in mastering myself rather than mastering circumstances. Through repeated reflection, I train the mind to meet every challenge with equanimity, turning obstacles into opportunities for virtue. Thus, I prepare to live the day as a philosopher and a man, neither swayed by praise nor crushed by blame. Book 3. In this book, I meditate upon the brevity of human existence and the urgent need to live with full awareness while time remains. I remind myself that each day is a gift that will never return, and that the future is uncertain while the past is already gone. Therefore, I must seize the present moment and devote it entirely to the cultivation of reason and virtue. I consider how many have lived and died before me, how many will follow, and how little difference there is between a long life and a short one when measured against eternity. This thought frees me from the fear of death and from the foolish chase after fame or luxury. Instead, I resolve to act only in accordance with nature, performing my duties with diligence and letting go of all that is not within my power. I examine the beauty and order of the world around me, the way the seasons change and the stars move in their courses, and I see that my own life is but a small part of this grand harmony. To live well is to align myself with that harmony, accepting what comes and giving back what I can. I warn myself against postponing the work of improvement, for tomorrow is not promised. Let me therefore practice justice today, show kindness today, and strengthen my soul today. These reflections are not melancholy but liberating. They teach me to value each breath and each decision as precious. By keeping death constantly before my eyes, I learn to live more fully, stripping away pretense and focusing on what is essential. In this book, I forge the habit of purposeful living, so that when the end comes, I may depart without regret, having used my time as nature intended. Book 4. Here I explore the nature of the universe and the calm that comes from understanding its constant change. Everything is in flux, yet behind the flux there is order and reason. I tell myself that the same intelligence that governs the stars also governs my own mind, and that by aligning myself with it, I find peace. I reflect on how quickly opinions and desires rise and fall, and how little they matter when viewed against the vastness of time. The wise man does not cling to pleasure or shrink from pain. He accepts both as part of the whole. I counsel myself to look inward and govern the ruling faculty, for only there can true freedom be found. External events may buffet the body or disturb the senses, but the soul remains untouched if it chooses to see things as they truly are. I repeat that the impediment to action becomes the way forward, that every obstacle contains the material for virtue. In these pages, I train myself to view the world with detachment, yet with deep engagement in duty. I remember that fame is fleeting and that the praise of others is empty wind. My reward lies in the act itself, performed with integrity and without expectation. This book strengthens my resolve to live according to nature, to be content with whatever portion is allotted, and to find joy in the simple exercise of reason. By returning again and again to these truths, I build an inner fortress that no storm can breach. Thus, I move through life with quiet confidence, knowing that the universe itself is my ally when I choose to walk its path. Book 5. In this book, I turn to the practical conduct of daily life and the steady practice of virtue in small things. I remind myself that the gods have given me reason and the capacity for justice, and that I must use these gifts without waste. Each morning I ask what good I can do, and each evening I review what I have done. I warn myself against the distractions of the body and the allure of external rewards, urging instead the cultivation of a mind that is sufficient unto itself. I reflect on the interconnectedness of all beings and the duty I owe to the commonwealth of rational souls. No action is too small to be performed with care, for even the humblest task can be an offering to the divine order. I counsel patience with the faults of others and strictness with my own, for self-improvement is the only true progress. When weariness comes, I remember that the soul is not wearied by right action, only by wrong desire. These pages are my daily manual for living, teaching me to rise above circumstance and to find satisfaction in fulfilling my role. I see that happiness is not found in abundance, but in alignment with nature, and that true wealth is the possession of a tranquil mind. Through repeated discipline, I strengthen the habits of temperance, courage, and wisdom so that they become second nature. This book is my companion in the ordinary hours, reminding me that philosophy is lived, not merely thought. Thus I go forward with steady purpose, content to do my part in the great chorus of existence. Book 6. Here I contemplate the vastness of the cosmos and my own small place within it. I see that the universe is one living organism, bound together by a single rational principle, and that every part serves the whole. I tell myself that I am a limb of this great body, and that my duty is to act in harmony with it. Change is constant, yet the underlying order never fails. I reflect on the beauty of this order and the folly of resisting it. When difficulties arise, I remember that they are necessary for the perfection of the whole, and that my task is to respond with grace and reason. I examine the nature of the soul and its kinship with the divine, finding comfort in the knowledge that nothing truly good can be taken from me. I counsel myself to live with simplicity, to speak truth, and to perform every action as if the gods were watching. Fame, wealth, and power are shadows that pass. Only virtue endures. In these reflections, I train my mind to see beyond the immediate and to embrace the eternal. This book deepens my sense of wonder and humility, teaching me to marvel at the stars while keeping my feet firmly on the path of duty. By returning to these thoughts, I renew my commitment to live as a citizen of the cosmos, contributing my small measure of goodness to the universal good. Thus I find peace amid the flux, anchored in the unchanging law of nature. Book 7. In this book, I return again and again to the same truths, for repetition is the mother of habit. I remind myself that the soul is dyed by the color of its thoughts, and that I must therefore choose thoughts of justice, kindness, and truth. I reflect on the unity of all things and the folly of division. Every person I meet is a brother or sister in reason, and every event is part of the same divine plan. I warn myself against the poison of anger and the trap of desire, urging instead the calm acceptance of whatever comes. I examine the nature of evil and find that it is only ignorance, nothing more. These pages are my training ground for the mind, where I practice turning obstacles into steps and adversity into opportunity. I see that the present moment is all I possess, and that to squander it is the greatest loss. I counsel myself to act with purpose, to speak with sincerity, and to judge with mercy. Through constant reflection, I strengthen the inner citadel until no external force can breach it. This book is my shield against forgetfulness, a repeated call to wakefulness and virtue. In it, I find the courage to continue, knowing that the path is long, but the goal is noble. Thus, I walk forward with renewed resolve, my mind clear and my heart at peace. Book 8. Here I examine my own progress and the need for continual self-scrutiny. I ask myself whether I have grown wiser, more just, more temperate. I admit my shortcomings honestly and resolve to correct them without self-pity. I reflect on the nature of the good life and find it consists in living according to nature, free from unnecessary wants. I counsel myself to focus on the task at hand, to let go of past regrets and future fears. Every day offers fresh material for virtue, and every encounter is a chance to practice kindness. I remember that the opinions of others are not my concern, only my own judgment matters. These reflections keep me humble and vigilant, preventing complacency. I see that true strength lies in the mastery of desire and the steady performance of duty. This book is my mirror and my compass, showing where I have strayed and pointing the way back. Through honest self-examination, I grow stronger in spirit, more useful to those around me. I find joy in the simple act of improvement, knowing that perfection is not required, only sincere effort. Thus I continue the work of philosophy, day by day, step by step, until the soul reaches its natural perfection. Book 9. In this book, I meditate on living authentically amid the complexity of human affairs. I remind myself that the world is full of pretense and that I must remain sincere. I reflect on the shortness of life and the folly of wasting it on anger or envy. I counsel myself to seek the good in every situation and to act with integrity even when unobserved. I examine the nature of justice and find it to be the bond that holds society together. I warn against the pursuit of pleasure or fame, for both are fleeting and empty. These pages urge me to focus on what is eternal, reason, virtue, and the service of the common good. I see that every soul is capable of goodness, and that my role is to encourage it in others by my own example. This book strengthens my commitment to truth and to the quiet dignity of a philosophical life. Through these reflections, I learn to navigate the world without being stained by it, to remain in the world, yet above its petty concerns. Thus I move forward with clear purpose, my actions guided by reason, and my heart open to the good in all things. Book 10. Here I seek balance in being, reminding myself that the soul finds rest when it is aligned with nature and free from excess. I reflect on the harmony between the individual and the whole, and on the duty to contribute my part without complaint. I counsel myself to accept the present moment fully, neither clinging to the past nor yearning for the future. I examine the nature of happiness and discover it lies within, in the right use of reason. These pages teach me to view every event as an opportunity for growth, and every person as a fellow traveler. I warn against the distractions of the senses and the illusions of the ego. This book is my guide to inner equilibrium, helping me to stand firm amid change and to find contentment in simplicity. Through repeated meditation, I cultivate the habit of gratitude and the practice of detachment. Thus I live with quiet strength, my mind at peace and my actions purposeful. Book 11. In this book, I turn inward to discover my true self, stripping away all that is false and temporary. I remind myself that the essence of a human being is reason and that all else is secondary. I reflect on the virtues that define a good life and resolve to embody them fully. I counsel myself to live as though the gods were present, with honesty and courage. These reflections reveal the unity of all rational beings and the shared destiny we hold. I warn against the temptation to conform to the crowd or to seek approval from others. This book is my map to the inner kingdom, guiding me towards self-mastery and authentic existence. Through these thoughts, I learn to stand alone, yet connected to the whole. Thus, I continue the journey of self-knowledge, growing clearer and stronger with every step. Book 12. Finally, in this book, I embrace the present moment and affirm that a philosophical life is always within reach. I remind myself to forget past grievances, trust in the order of the universe, and act with justice today. I reflect on the impermanence of all things and the eternal nature of virtue. I counsel myself to live each day as if it were the last, performing every duty with full attention and goodwill. These pages are my closing meditation on mortality and on the freedom that comes from accepting it. I see that obstacles are only material for virtue and that the soul remains invincible when guided by reason. This book completes the circle of my reflections, returning me to the simple truths with which I began. It leaves me resolved to continue the work of improvement until the end. Thus I depart in peace, content with what I have done and ready for whatever comes next.